Welcome HISD families, and thank you for tuning in for our second student health and safety conversation. This is a new tradition we've started this year that we will keep going monthly. Houston ISD's top priority is ensuring that all of our students are safe and supported when in our care. We're always looking for new ways to add to the services we provide to our students and families because we know that when students are healthy and cared for, they have the opportunity to thrive in school and get prepared for their futures. Today you'll hear about a very exciting new service available to all students in HISD, Hazel Health, which makes available 24/7 healthcare access that is free to every single HISD student. I'm joined today for our conversation by the Deputy Chief of Family and Community Partnerships, Naja Callender, and by Paris Carroll, the VP of Mental Health and Clinical Services for Hazel Health. But before we dive into our conversation about Hazel Health, I want to provide a few other health and safety updates that you might have missed. As has always been the case, HISD is fully in compliance with health and safety equipment regulations across all of our campuses. But the district has made the commitment to go above and beyond those state requirements and increase the number of AEDs and CPR certified staff at all of our campuses to 2 or more. We believe this is important to exceed state requirements because our students' health and safety is the most important thing the district is charged with every day. On that note, I also want to share that we've expanded some of our partnerships with local law enforcement agencies. HISD Police Department is working with Metro Police to increase the visibility of police around campuses that are near Metro bus stops. And we're grateful for that partnership. And we're also working with other local law enforcement agencies to increase their presence near campuses for patrolling. Secondly, with Election Day coming up, HISD-PD is working with the constables' offices and chiefs of police across the city to ensure there is a safe environment for all schools that are serving as polling places for the election. Our facilities team is also hard at work, as they always are, with 33 HVAC upgrade projects that are either in scope or completed. These projects are just the beginning of the HVAC work that needs to be done to ensure all of our students are learning in safe and comfortable environments. And lastly, HISD is proud to report that through federal ESSER funds, we've installed a total of 452 water filtration stations at 188 school campuses, so our kids can be hydrated with clean water throughout the school day. That wraps up my updates, and so now I'd like to pivot to my conversation with Naja and Paris, and I'd like to just start with some basics. Why did Hazel Health decide to partner with HISD? Why is HISD partnering with Hazel Health? And then what is Hazel Health and what does it offer our families?
So I'll talk a little bit about the why. Alex, thank you for doing this, and Paris, thanks so much for being here. When we started to look at the health and medical needs for our families, one of the things that some of the facts that we learned is 1 in 5 of our students does not have access to medical insurance. And more than 1/3 of our students reported not being able to have access to a doctor and having some anxiety, depression, or other mental health challenges. And that was reported all the way down, even through our elementary level students. So we knew it was important that we increase the amount of support that we were providing our students for their health and medical needs, and really want to make sure that we are really surrounding our students with the things that they need so that they can show up to school ready to learn.
Yeah, and I'm happy to talk a little bit about what is Hazel Health, and we are a virtual program that provides both medical, physical health, and mental health services to all students in Houston ISD. Any student that is enrolled is eligible for our services with parent consent. So the physical health avenue is we partner with the nurses in schools. So if a student comes in with something that might look like pink eye or a headache or a stomach ache, we're able to support those students a step further, whether it's the doctor on the virtual visit recommending an over-the-counter medication, or even writing a prescription. Again, for that pink eye example, they can write that prescription. So while that parent is having to come in to pick up their kid, that prescription's already being put together at the pharmacy to really move things along. But again, those smaller instances of headaches or allergies or those sort of things, we can provide that over-the-counter medication in order to get that kid back to class, right? That student needs to go back to their academic learning when it's something along those lines. So, your nurses really know your students, and so they're able to understand this is a situation where a student might need that extra layer. And so they can on demand get access to a doctor or a physician's assistant to go ahead and reevaluate and kind of diagnose potentially how we can best support that student. It gets kids back to class. It leaves parents the ability to stay at work and maintain their day-to-day rather than getting up and having to leave, as I just had to do yesterday with my youngest who had a stomach ache, which quite frankly, with an opportunity to connect with Hazel, I would have been able to remain at work and continuing to support the work that I do at Hazel. But this is an opportunity for families at Houston ISD to use the convenience of Hazel Health. Additionally, noting that it doesn't matter if that student has insurance, or is uninsured, or immigration status doesn't matter, language doesn't matter. Our clinicians are trained to support families, no matter their language or all of that, to no cost to the family. Additionally, because we are a whole child partnership, we additionally have the access to mental health services. So either in conjunction with physical health, that we have those kids that are frequent flyers coming into the nurse's office often, and maybe there's something deeper going on there. And again, as the nurses are experts on your community, on your students, we have the ability for them to say, you know what, I think there might be something else going on here, right? This isn't in fact, more than a stomach ache, right? This isn't that they're hungry or not feeling well. Maybe there's another layer here of anxiety or depression, much like you referenced earlier, that quite frankly is affecting so many children across the country. And so this is an opportunity for that nurse to make a recommendation for mental health services, or quite frankly, completely independent of the physical health aspect. A parent can make a referral to Hazel Health Services. A school counselor can make those referrals as well. Just if you have a concern, right? At times as a parent, you can feel helpless to what's happening with your kids. Even myself as a clinician, a licensed clinician for many years, working specifically with pediatric clients, there are times when my 3 kids, and I think to myself, is this normal? Is this what I should be expecting, or what's happening here? So what I encourage every parent to do is be curious, ask questions, and if you're concerned, reach out. And that's the opportunity that Hazel Health brings to Houston ISD in order to really have a robust option for mental health services. I'll add a little bit more there in terms of what it looks like. So it's virtual, 100% virtual, but we provide services both at home and at school. Every student has different needs. Every situation is very different. It might very well be very convenient to have a session at home for a student, and so that might be the route that they take. Others might have 3 or 4 siblings running around, and is pure chaos like it is at my house time to time, where one of my kids might really prefer to have that private time without disruption, their own individual connection to time that they can have right there on campus, and able to have that connection and make that growth. And so for a variety of reasons, we might support a kid. Again, it might be something mild. They have frequent stomach aches. Perhaps it's stress. It might be academic stress. And there's a lot going on, especially as they get into middle school and high school. Peer relationships and conflicts, and quite frankly, the widespread anxiety and depression that kids are experiencing today are nothing like when we were kids. And it was hard enough as it was at that time, and now they are faced with social media and the constant reminder of mobile devices and the pings of the constant, evaluating and kind of pulling us out of our realities. So having an opportunity to have someone to talk to connect to, can really make such a huge difference for the children that we connect with.
I Listen, about everything you just said really resonates with me as a parent. I think for our parents that are watching out there, what I really want everybody to understand is that we see all of this need in our schools, and we're really trying to put things in place to support students. But I think you explained it beautifully, that Hazel Health also allows us an opportunity to support families in a different way, because just like you mentioned, you had to go and pick up for a stomach ache. That I've had to do that. I think that resonates with every working parent or guardian, where you have to drop everything, and then you get your kid, and they might not feel the best, but with a Robitussin or a Tylenol, they're back rip-raring to ready to go, and you've taken off half a day and all the other things. So I think that Hazel represents a really wonderful way that we're able to provide another layer of support for our families, so that the kids are showing up ready to learn and get what they need and can get back to class. So thank you so much for all of that.
Yeah, and I'll mention too, our ability to, I've worked in mental health for a very long time, very much believe in counseling and therapy and those supports. But what Hazel's able to do, which is an incredible thing, is again to provide this high quality access to care to any and all students. That is uncommon. That is not something you'll see out in the world. And as I lead our clinical team, making sure that they are, a diverse community, speak many different languages, are able to support a student whether they're 6 years old or 16 years old, whatever that might look like, and really focused on training and supporting them to really make those connections with students, getting really creative about how we engage virtually. And listen, kids these days have no issue with the virtual, with the screens, everything from school stuff happening on screens, social media, so they have this comfort level, and additionally being able to support either at home or at school. You'll have a kid during session be like, oh, here's my dog, or here's my poster, or this or that, and given a space where they feel really comfortable and safe to share and to connect. So yeah, and I'll just say too, as a parent myself, we're navigating this world is very different than anything that we've ever had to do before, that we don't understand and that we're really learning. So I would just really encourage you to ask questions if you're concerned, if you're unsure. Talk to your school counselor. Ask for those questions, look for, those red flags, and that's the best key, from a parent perspective is ask the questions. Don't be scared to ask. And Houston ISD has done a beautiful job of making sure there are layers and layers of care. And we very much view ourselves as just a piece of the ecosystem that you all have created here, just because the need is so great. And so if we can support a student who wouldn't otherwise get care, or quite frankly, just really prefers the virtual convenience, the at home, and that is really an incredible partnership, and I really look forward to where we continue to move to.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for explaining the why and the what and what parents can expect. I'd like to pivot to some of the questions the families submitted in advance of this town hall. One of the common questions that families asked was, how does the services of Hazel Health compare to taking my child to the doctor? Like, break that down for us. What's similar?
Yeah, I think the services are very similar, right? It's a licensed, well-trained clinician, either a doctor or a physician's assistant. They have a virtual visit that they are able to kind of visit with the doctor, talk about what's going on. The doctor is able to make an assessment of how they're what they're complaining about or what they're talking about, and then it is really meant to provide kind of a seamless, easy access to medical care in a very quick, tight time frame, right?
Yeah, exactly as you described. It's very similar that you might find in a doctor's office, but with the convenience and ease of being able to do it at home, at school rather, with that nurse in a safe environment. You've passed by the nurse's office on a daily basis potentially. Maybe you're entering there all the time, so it's a really safe, comfortable space for that student. And of course, we encourage families if they want to join virtually, right? As we mentioned, you're at work, at your office, at your on your lunch break or whatever that might look like, and be able to join virtually to that virtual session. So you can hear, ask questions, really engage, share any relevant information, or quite frankly, if you're unable to attend, that's okay too. If you've consented to services, we can absolutely work with that student, make sure they get that care, and then provide you with a discharge summary of exactly what happened, what we recommended, what orders were given by the doctor. So it's very, very similar to what you might get there. But again, we provide that convenience, and you know, because of where I sit, the quality of clinicians, I think, is really important. That we are not just filling seats, we are not just having people who can write prescriptions. It's people who are passionate about the work, about supporting children, and quite frankly, our mission of really providing high quality mental health and physical health care to any and all students who really need it.
Okay,
Just like the doctor's office, it's private, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the visit, if the parent is not able to join, the discharge information goes
right.
to the parent, and also if there's a primary care doctor, they can also get that information. So your child's continuum of care on the medical side is complete.
And I'll mention too, and there are circumstances where maybe there isn't a medical home for that student for one reason or another. There's a million reasons why that might happen, but we do have an ability also to connect you to that medical home if you might not have one, or help you find one if that's not the case. So you know, you complete that actual service, you get that student supported in that moment, and then we have other teammates who are able to you know, kind of dig into your situation and help you get connected, so you have that long-term care as well outside of that urgent moment that you needed support.
Okay, awesome. Well, can you, before we pivot to actually seeing what this looks like, can you share with us just the definition of a medical home in case a parent or family member doesn't know what that is?
Just your child's primary pediatrician, their primary doctor. When we say medical home, we basically mean doctor's office.
Yeah.
Okay.
That you see regularly.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that vocab lesson.
Yes.
Let's cue a video that will walk parents through what this looks like from a child's perspective to have a visit with Hazel Health.
Students come into the clinic frequently for things like stomach ache or a rash or sore throat. So this actually is another tool in the nurse's tool belt, like you would say a stethoscope or a blood pressure cuff, to be able to provide services for the students. She can actually have a telehealth visit for the student. Once the parents have consented to receive these services, she can easily put in the information into her tablet, and she can prompt a visit with the provider. A provider would come online. If the parents want to be online also, they can basically three-way on the tablet, face-to-face in real time. Say a student comes in with a rash, we can zoom in with our tablet and look at the rash and send that to the doctor. We have over-the-counter medication that we can provide this medication once the doctor gives us the order. Parents really like this because they know what's going on. They get immediate attention. If they were to come pick up their child, maybe it'll take 2 or 3 days to get a doctor's appointment, and here it happens instantly.
Okay, now that parents have seen what this looks like, how do they sign their children up?
So there are a couple ways that we are encouraging families to sign up. The first way, or the easiest way, may be for you to go to HoustonISD.org and click on the Hazel Health banner on our website. You can also go to getstarted.hazel.co, and there may also be, I think there's a QR code that's going to be on the screen here that will allow you to scan it, and you can go right there and register your child to receive this service. As we mentioned, the services are available at all HISD sites, and the services are available at home or at school. So before school, after school, your student, once you're registered, can get logged in and get seen by a provider. We want to make sure that all of our parents and all of our families understand that this service is available to you. Even if your child has a pediatrician, we're encouraging you to log on and to join.
Awesome. So now we'll zoom out a little bit from Hazel Health and address some other questions families have submitted. As you mentioned, Paris, and as you've talked about, Naja, mental health is on families' minds. Our adolescents, our youth are really, really struggling with mental health at this moment in time in our country, in our world. And you also both referenced the layers of support HISD provides. Naja, can you share a little bit more about beyond Hazel Health, what is HISD doing to support mental health?
Sure. We are, as you mentioned, Alex, really focusing on how we can support students with their mental health, and they're doing it in a couple ways. The first is by making sure that we're building schools that have adults in them that have caring relationships with your student. We're making sure that our teachers are continuing to build great relationships with students. If students have more crisis or more acute needs, there are crisis counselors that can come out and work with students. We know our school counselors are building social emotional learning and really trying to make sure that students feel supported with those sorts of lessons. And then we have the whole group of supportive staff in schools, which include everyone from the front desk staff to the wraparound specialists to other school support staff, who are all focused on being kind of frontline reporters and referrers. So if they see something, they are raising that flag for students and really saying, this is a student that may need some support, and then making sure that parents and families and the students know where to go to find that support. The final layer is also that Sunrise Center piece, where not only can you access Hazel Health services for students who are at the Sunrise Center, but you also will have mental health counseling on site at those centers. And so we are really trying to make sure that if your student is at home, in community, or at school, that there are ways that we can recognize their needs for mental health services and then provide some services for them.
Thank you for that overview, Naja. Paris, is there anything else you want to add about how Hazel Health can amplify HISD's mental health supports?
Yeah, absolutely. We very much view ourselves as a piece of the ecosystem that you all have created here to really support your students through, as you described, this enormous need that is in the communities right now, especially affecting our children. And so basically the mental health offering that we support, or that we provide rather, is very individualized to that student. So we might have a student that comes in, maybe again, as I referenced earlier, the parent is noticing some changes at home. Maybe it's conflict with siblings, which don't they all do that? But is there a level where they might need additional support, right? Or maybe there's separation in the home, or quite frankly, it could be something like peer conflict or insecurity, or there are so many things that are affecting our kids. That again, that first step is reaching out, asking those questions. What we do on our end is connect you to a highly trained and high quality counselor who's able to support you through the process. What is this? What does it look like? What should I expect? Who is my therapist? What is this going to look like? How many sessions am I going to have? What are we going to work on? And we really want to lead you through that process, as it can be scary. Again, as a clinician myself, getting involved with a therapist or a counselor for the first time can be really scary. What are they going to ask, or how am I going to show up? And you want to show up and ask those questions. So we really try to at that first connection, get to know you, get to know your student, your child. What are the challenges that they're experiencing, and how can we best support you? Let's create goals, right? What is it that you want to work on to support your student during this time? And quite frankly, we really are client-centered in the work that we do. We believe very much in that student buying into that goal. What is it that they want to work on? That is the most likely for them to have an outcome that they are proud of, that they want to work towards, that you're more likely to see progress and really make those long-term improvements. And I will also mention that it's really important that we also support a family in their native language. And so we do not pretend that there's any one therapist. We want to make sure that there is a right fit for you and for your family, and how do we make sure we can communicate best. So our team of therapists are a very large, diverse group. We speak something like over 30 different languages, and if it happens to be a language that we don't have staff, we have access to a translation process, so we can again make sure that any and all of the children who are in need of that mental health care or physical health care have access to that through our services. And then really just noting again, you might be in a situation where you have all the resources, you have insurance, you have all these things, but you don't know where to start. You don't know what connections and what's out there for you. And so this is a really good place to start, talk to your school counselor, ask some questions, get involved. And then additionally, maybe you don't have access to that. You don't have insurance. What am I supposed to do? My kid is really struggling. It's obvious to me, I'm not feeling helpless. I'm feeling very helpless because I know my child needs help. I don't have insurance. I don't have access to the medical home, as we earlier described. So what do I do? And this is also a space where you can come and get connected to that care, where we can not only help you in that moment for ongoing sessions on a weekly basis, or really connect you to that community partner, as you described, that you already have built in the community that you trust and you respect so much. We can help connect to them in those environments as well.
Okay, so now zooming farther out, we had some parents submit some questions about the impact of school facilities on their children's health. And HISD does have facilities that are quite varied in terms of their quality right now. One parent shared that their child goes to school in a 100-year-old building that's had mold in the past. Several parents shared that they're worried about their child's experience during the school day and the impact on their health by going to class in a really, really old temporary buildings. So Naja, can you share a little bit about what the district is doing to address our aging facilities?
So I was actually laughing with Paris. I said, Paris, you have no idea, no way of knowing this, but HISD has about a third of our buildings are over 50 years old. So we are in a district that does have some very old facilities. Many of those buildings are beautiful on the outside, but they do have struggling systems on the inside. And part of what we have kind of been working through all year, especially it feels like this year or in the last 2 years, is how we maintain health and safety in those aging facilities. And it feels like we're doing a lot of Band-Aids and Band-Aid approaches. And we know that as our buildings continue to age, as our systems continue to fall out of date, that the things that we're able to do now are not going to keep up. And we're going to continue to have a lot of environmental factors that are going to detract from what students are able to learn. So that is part of why the 2024 bond proposal has a health and safety piece that really is specifically focusing on the water filtration lead piece, the HVAC, and the safety and security of our buildings. And so we're really focusing on how we can make the buildings that are ailing the most more safe and more healthy learning environment for our students, because we believe that that's our foundational responsibility as a school district. And what we've learned over this process is that in order to do it, you're gonna have to utilize capital improvement funds that you can only get through passing a school bond. We just are never gonna have enough operating dollars to move those facilities in the way that we need to in order to meet that foundational promise. I know we were talking a little bit about how environmental factors affect children's health. I don't know if there's more to share there.
Sure, and just, sometimes when you have existing conditions, some of these factors can, trigger those things. And so kind of leaning back into the physical health urgent care, let's figure out what this is, right? Well, let's understand what's happening here. And sometimes that might be a little bit out of, the nurse's scope, and she might need additional support or want that additional care. And so that's a good opportunity to call in one of, a Hazel Health visit if a student is struggling. And so, from what it sounds like, you're absolutely looking looking on both preventing and treating those concerns that you're addressing.
I encourage all families that want to know more about what is in the health and safety package in our bond proposal to visit Renew HISD, which will provide a lot more detailed information about that. So as we wrap up here, Naja, I want to give you an opportunity to just spotlight our Sunrise Centers. That is one of the things that you oversee, and we're coming up on an anniversary for Sunrise Centers. So can you just provide a little bit more information about the connection between Hazel Health and Sunrise Centers, and what's upcoming for our Sunrise Centers?
Absolutely. So once we saw the pilot of Hazel Health, we knew that we wanted to extend that partnership to our Sunrise Centers. So you all will hopefully know that we have 7 Sunrise Centers across the city, and that at a Sunrise Center, an HISD family can receive everything from basic needs support like going to our food pantry, to all the way to after school care. Your student can likely hop on a bus and go to a Sunrise Center and be there and try robotics or culinary or sports at a Sunrise Center. And then we also have things like a clothes closet, and we have health and mental health services available for families. And Hazel has been an amazing partner for us at those centers. So very much similar to the video you watched, we have mini clinics in our Sunrise Centers where you can go and initiate a Hazel Health visit. The medical card is there, and there are trained staff there who will help you initiate a visit. I want you all to stay tuned. As Alex alluded, we are almost 1 year into our Sunrise Center journey, and we are going to have more opportunities to talk about the impact of Sunrise Centers and what it's going to look like going forward in the month of November.
Awesome. We look forward to spotlighting our Sunrise Centers more in November. As we wrap up, I just want to remind families to go to the HISD website and sign up for Hazel Health. Whether your child has a pediatrician that's you've been committed to seeing for a long time, or you do not have health insurance, whether you speak English at home or another language, Hazel Health is a resource for you and your family that is free. And so please register. We want as many HISD families as possible to have access to this care option. Thank you again for tuning in tonight. Thank you, Naja and Paris, for the information you shared. And we look forward to talking to you next month at our 3rd Health and Safety Town Hall.